Imagine waking up to a news alert that an asteroid is hurtling towards Earth with the power to plunge our world into chaos. This isn't a scene from a sci-fi movie. It's a real possibility. Meet Apophis, the 370-meter giant that has scientists on edge. Could this be the asteroid that changes everything?
Stay tuned to find out how this cosmic threat could impact our planet and what we can do to prepare. Dan Riskin, a renowned evolutionary biologist, warns that Apophis, an asteroid, poses a significant threat to Earth.
Known since 2004, Apophis was initially classified as a serious threat, with earlier calculations showing a small but real probability of a collision in 2029. This warning caused worldwide concern and led to intensive scientific research. Scientists meticulously studied every available piece of information about the asteroid, but this is a difficult undertaking. Although the asteroid is large enough to give us a big blow on a cosmic scale, it is no more than a tiny speck of dust that we have to scan and observe. Asteroids do not emit light themselves. They only reflect light from the sun or from planets and moons when they fly at certain angles to these light sources. After the first warning that Apophis could hit us as early as 2029, NASA gave the all clear, showing that we could still escape. However, Apophis is coming again in 2036, with its sights set on Earth. In 2029, Apophis will fly so close to us that it will pass under our satellites. Scientists have confirmed that Apophis will pass Earth this time without hitting it, but it is too early for relief. One uncertainty remains. During the approach, Earth's gravity could affect the asteroid's orbit in a way that makes future approaches, especially in 2036, unpredictable. Should Apophis change its orbit, we would have just under 7 years to prepare for the impact. Dan Riskin warns that these uncertainties must be taken seriously. Asteroid and comet impacts have hit the Earth time and time again. They are a part of the normal cosmic life of the planet. The Earth will survive, but our society's at risk. We've been researching asteroids intensively for a long time. But can we ever really be prepared? After the initial violent impact and incredible destruction, Apophis could also cause drastic global climate change in the long term. We must not let it get that far. If Apophis is on a collision course, we must act before the asteroid hits. We would have to try to push the asteroid out of its orbit so that it flies past, but it is still uncertain whether this will succeed. Dan Riskin has drawn up a scenario showing that an impact in our world today would be fatal for the entire globe. The consequences would plunge the Earth into a new age of chaos and change. NASA's latest asteroid defense study assesses the potential threats from near objects and looks at simulations and hypothetical scenarios. The results demonstrate the urgency and challenges associated with planetary defense. This study is the first response to the growing concerns about the Apophis asteroid. But we need to go further. Lindy Johnson, the director of NASA's Planetary Defense Office, emphasized that we need as much information as possible about the size and orbit of asteroids to avoid practical problems caused by uncertainties. The study and exercises clearly show that there are still significant gaps in international preparedness for such potential disasters. As part of an extensive hypothetical exercise, NASA simulated an asteroid that initially remained undetected due to its orbit around the Sun and is on a collision course with Earth. This fictitious asteroid was large enough to cause considerable regional damage in the event of an impact. The simulation showed gaps in the global community. Nations currently in dispute and discussion, or even at war with each other, would have to cooperate with the rest of the world and hostile camps on this one point. We do not yet know how a defense should be practically financed either. The international community must stick together because we might have to send several probes to push Apophis out of its deadly orbit. If all attempts were to go wrong, we would still need enough resources to prepare the planet and people for the consequences. The results of the NASA exercise were alarming. The exercise showed that humanity is currently ill-equipped to avert such a catastrophe, despite a hypothetical warning time of 14 years. We need to get a move on if we want to save our world. What is certain is that Apophis will not be the only asteroid to threaten us. There will be others. In the worst-case scenario, one of these chunks could appear without much warning, making the impact unavoidable. Apophis, officially known as 99942 Apophis, is a big mystery. Modern telescopes can detect asteroids using the finest technologies, but we don't have a clear picture of the asteroid. The OSIRIS probe is currently on its way to Apophis and will bring us valuable samples from the asteroid's surface back to Earth in a few months. If we want to successfully push Apophis out of the collision orbit, we need to know more about the asteroid's exact composition, density, and weight, a reservoir of billions of rocks dating back to the early days of our solar system. Researchers have found that, in a few decades, Jupiter may occupy a position within the solar system that gravitationally affects the asteroid belt, potentially sending dozens of asteroids towards the Sun. These predictions demonstrate how urgently we need to prepare. Apophis is currently moving in an elliptical orbit around the Sun, regularly bringing it close to Earth. The most critical approach will take place on April 13, 2029, when the asteroid will pass about 31,000 kilometers above Earth's surface, about a tenth of the distance to the Moon. During this approach, Apophis could fly through a special constellation of Earth's gravity. If it hits this keyhole, the probability of an impact in 2036 is 75%. An Apophis impact could have devastating consequences depending on the impact location. If it hits the ocean, a massive tsunami could reach wave heights of several hundred meters, inundating coastal areas with a radius of several thousand kilometers. Towns and villages along the coastlines would be at risk, and infrastructure would be severely damaged. The impact would also throw large amounts of water vapor and other particles into the atmosphere, causing periods of darkness and stark climate changes. This could lead to crop failures for years and put the global food supply at risk. An impact on land would cause a massive explosion comparable to several nuclear bombs, leaving a gigantic crater several kilometers wide. The pressure wave and heat of the impact would destroy everything within a radius of many kilometers. In a sparsely populated area like a desert or the Arctic, immediate human losses would be small, but the environmental consequences could be significant globally. An impact in a densely populated area would be the most devastating scenario. In a metropolis like New York, Tokyo, or Mumbai, millions of lives would be lost, and the entire city destroyed. Infrastructure would collapse, including power, water, and communication networks, causing immeasurable economic damage and a humanitarian crisis. Long-term consequences include fires, toxic gases, and potential radiation exposure. Pollutants released into the atmosphere could affect air quality worldwide. An effective early warning system allows us to take timely measures to minimize the effects of an impact. However, evacuating millions or billions of people from endangered areas and constructing protective infrastructures will require extensive preparation. As NASA's latest study shows, international cooperation and continuous research are essential to prepare for and mitigate the potential catastrophic impact of asteroids like Apophis.